the county government of Kericho is running short of revenue every now and then, Mr. Speaker, is because we have never been serious and take our work seriously on collection of revenue. In fact, we have been relying mostly on the SSP, which is single business permit only, and excluding other streams. Remember, even the chairman alluded in a few minutes ago that the lands committee, the lands department had not collected revenue on land rates. But there is a de-link which has led to this confusion. There was centralization of the collection of revenue, whereby the finance was collecting revenue from all other departments, Mr. Speaker. When there is no coordination between the collecting department and the revenue generating department, we will face the same consequence. So going into the future, which I think should be way forward, and the chairman finance will come up with a better strategy, is to ensure that there is proper coordination, there is proper linkage between the receiver of revenue and the collector of revenue. Because when you see like lands committee, lands department is should be the one remitting over $1 billion on land rates if we go as per the valuation role. Recently when we were in Nakuru, when we treated doing the IDEP, some of the issues which came up was the issue to do with valuation role. And we discussed with the officers from the department, and they were bringing us issues that there was an objection on implementation of the valuation role because there is discrepancy. But those claims are not substantiated because there has never been any court challenging. So we told them to go and implement the valuation role the way it is, and then we get the response from the business or from the business owners that there is discrepancy. From there now we will start on review. Now that upon the approval of the morning IDEP report, we will be having now money through KUSUB, because it will be under the URG, so that we can use to review the valuation role. And one of the recommendations in the IDEP was the review of the valuation role. So we want to urge the relevant department, which is the finance, to fast track the implementation of the valuation role so that we can now collect a substantive amount of revenue after waiver. And after the approval of this report, we need a publication and circulation to be put in all billboards and give specifying that there is a window of 90 days for you for 100% waiver. So people to come and now all the penalties have been waived to now to pay the relevant rates. In that we will meet the targets. Others on the recommendation by the finance committee, most of the recommendation they have highlighted all are touching on land. So there is a need for the collaboration between the committee on lands and the committee on finance on the issue to do with collection of revenue, especially on land rates. And some of the things which we have done, I have as a chairman, to ensure that we get proper because there is a recommendation here that the committee should review on the to identify the properties and the land within Kericho town. What we have done as a committee is to fast track, or we have ensured that the implementation of the GIS registration of all lands within the town. After us registering all the land, now after registering and putting on a GIS or on a better software whereby it is easy to identify, we now need that software. We link with the Department of Finance so that we link the registered properties with the single business permit, so that before you get a single business permit, there should be a linkage, there should be a checklist to ensure that before you get a single business, you must have cleared the land rates. In that, we'll be moving and ensuring that we collect more revenue. Otherwise, I support this report, and on the recommendation, which we have, it has been highlighted, we will consult and see a way of collection, because as we are still talking, the finance are collecting rates on every department. So there must be a proper consultation so that there is the mother department of which are concerned on revenue as a way of supporting the exercise. Otherwise, I support.
All right, thank you, the Honorable Mr. Ngatich, for seconding the motion. Sorry for your contribution and debate. The Honorable Cheriot Bet, your hand was up.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this other opportunity to also contribute to this report. Mr. Speaker, let me, from the onset, Mr. Speaker, thank the ever-working chairman on the Committee of Finance and Economic Planning for tabling this report. Mr. Speaker, the report is long overdue, Mr. Speaker, because this report is going to assist the residents of this county, Mr. Speaker. One, those who already have a lot of arrears in land rates, Mr. Speaker. Secondly, it is also going to assist the Department of Finance and Economic Planning and that of lands in collecting more money, a source of revenue that will ultimately, Mr. Speaker, be used for development projects in our county, therefore benefiting the residents of this county, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, these are the main reason why the county government of Kericho is giving out 100% waivers on interest and penalties, Mr. Speaker, is so that it is giving an opportunity for those who may not have paid, Mr. Speaker, land rates for a very long time. So we need to sensitize the residents of this county, Mr. Speaker, that this is a golden opportunity for them to pay the land rates now that we do not have penalties and also interest to the principal amount, Mr. Speaker. So that is one. So after the passage of this report or approval of this report, Mr. Speaker, we now expect the county executive committee member in charge of finance and economic planning, together with his counterpart on lands, housing and physical planning, Mr. Speaker, and the entire county government of Kericho, up to including the county assembly of Kericho, to sensitize the members of the public that today the county assembly has approved 100% waivers on interests and penalties, so that our people get to have this information, Mr. Speaker. Sometimes we may do something like this, but the ripple effect, Mr. Speaker, may not be that much, because the people who own plot in this town, I can tell you, Mr. Speaker, they are old men and women. They may not get an opportunity, Mr. Speaker, to even read the newspapers that we normally, post on newspapers. So I want to urge, being led by the chair of finance, a very able chair finance, for a very long time, Mr. Speaker, we've been missing a vibrant chair for finance and economic planning. So for the first time, at least we have someone, Mr. Speaker, who understand what that department entails. So I want to urge my good friend, he is an alumni of the University of Nairobi, Mr. Speaker, and he did finance, my closest friend. Sensitize the people now. Use radio stations, use Facebook, use those mainstream medias, especially those that resonates with the people that we represent. The old people, Mr. Speaker, are the one owning chunks of plots in this town. So they may not get an opportunity to read the newspapers where the county normally advertise. So use those, even the local radio stations. In fact, the chair used to visit radio stations most of the time, some time back, Mr. Speaker. So I want him also to now use this opportunity to also advertise that the county has the county has waived. For the next 3 months, you should be putting even the dates that from the approval of this report, there is 100% waiver on, penalties and interest. As I conclude, Mr. Speaker, also, what the chair for land has said, the valuation role that is being currently used is an old one that was adopted in probably 2007, by the defunct county council of Kipsigis by then, or municipality. And yet we have a new valuation role, and you've heard we do not have any issue in our courts. There are no litigations in court. Therefore, the county government executive committee members should enforce in totality, Mr. Speaker. In fact, if there is a revenue stream that the county government of Kericho has never utilized, is the valuation role. We have a new valuation role that was passed in the year 2019, Mr. Speaker. I have the benefit because I was around. So if that valuation role is used, I can assure you, Mr. Speaker, that the county is going to get a lot of revenue that will in turn be used for development projects in our place. 2 days ago, Mr. Speaker, I had an opportunity to sit and take supper with the COB, the Controller of Budget. We met in an hotel, and he was telling me we are doing very badly on revenue collection, Mr. Speaker. In fact, he was telling me by the end of 31st December last year, Mr. Speaker, the county government of Kericho had only collected 61 million. You can imagine out of 500 and something. So, you know, we are doing badly, Mr. Speaker, and therefore the county should use this opportunity to make sure that we collect more and more funds. Mr. Speaker, as I conclude, they should also need to publish, to make sure that they keep a public record of each waiver, Mr. Speaker, together with the reason why they are waiving, and of course the report of every waiver, because that is what the Constitution requires. Section 159 of the PFM Act 2012, Mr. Speaker, requires the county executive to keep records so that we know who are these people who has a lot of arrears, Mr. Speaker. Number two, they should also write to those people reminding them that there is a waiver. So the chair of finance, you take it up. You keep record of each and every defaulter, so that you write individually to that person that we have 100% waivers on interest and penalties, so that at least they get this information. I think that, Mr. Speaker, is going to assist us a great deal. Otherwise, I support this report, and I want to thank the Committee on Finance and Economic Planning for doing a splendid job by giving us this report. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And they should even put on TV, as I conclude, Citizen TV, where most of the people watch, you know, KBC, all those TV stations, just like County of Muranga. I was seeing every other time, the governor for Muranga is doing a splendid job. When there is a waiver, Mr. Speaker, he runs the waiver on prime time news every day, Mr. Speaker. I was seeing the MP for Dindi Nyoro, Kiharu constituency, Mr. Speaker, using the mainstream media, Citizen, to advertise every 9, 7, you know, is giving out projects in his ward. That is a constituency. We have an entire block of a county government of Kericho. We should be using such platforms to sensitize our people. I hope the chair and of course the executive is listening to this, because I am sure, Mr. Speaker, that we are live on our Facebook page, Mr. Speaker, so that they also execute the same. I support this report. Thank you.
All right, thank you. The Honorable Eric, please.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for allowing me an opportunity just to comment on the report on waiver of interest and penalties of the county land rates. Mr. Speaker, I think this report has come at the right time when the county government has launched and automation of catch, Mr. Speaker, when they are doing the collection of revenue. Mr. Speaker, it is the first in our term approval of this waiver. We've been waiting for the waiver, waivers of interest and penalties at Kericho County, Mr. Speaker, because this will also assist those defaulters who have not been able to pay their rate, Mr. Speaker. So I think it has come at the right time, and I would like to thank the chairman, Apo Chair Finance, for coming up with this report at the right time. Mr. Speaker, what I'll just comment on this report is, Mr. Speaker, we like to request the executives, are they receiving this report, Mr. Speaker, after approval, they should also have a human resource I think, Mr. Speaker, as per what Honorable Cheriot Bet has actually mentioned, Mr. Speaker, is that we should be having an implementers. We cannot be having approval of waivers. And there's nobody to do collection, Mr. Speaker. I think in part of sensitization, there should be people moving around. Of course, Mr. Speaker, there might be objection at the same time for the people saying that I will not be able to pay this, but there should be a negotiation. I want to believe that by giving out a waiver, of course, we cannot waive everything. If somebody who has a capacity to pay the interest, Mr. Speaker, it is not a mandatory for them to be waive everything. So the best thing is that when they receive this report, they should be able to have a human resource power so that they can move around, doing also negotiation at the same time, requesting and telling our people that pay this and we are going to waive this. Pay the penalties and the interest at the same time, and we shall be able to give you a period of time to be able to pay principal rent, Mr. Speaker. So I want to request the executive just be on their toes, work extra hard to achieve this, Mr. Speaker, because you are giving a period, you are only remaining with 4 months for the closure of this financial year, Mr. Speaker. And if you don't get revenue for this financial year, Mr. Speaker, we may have a problem in terms of execution of our project. We may not be able to employ even the other people, Mr. Speaker, because we are looking forward to do employment of an ECD teachers. Of course, Mr. Speaker, we also have an issue of revenue officers. So if we don't achieve anything in the revenue, Mr. Speaker, we may not be able to do much development. So I want to say, request that as we approve this report today, let it go straight away to the executive and implement the recommendation tabled by the finance department so that we move forward, Mr. Speaker. And of course, I will place emphasis on the issues of advertisement. This is a period whereby the county government should sacrifice their funds, and of course to go to radio stations, especially this local radio station, Mr. Speaker, and of course even these national ones, so that they may be able to tell people to be able to pay, and there's a period of waiver, and they can be able to waive and do the necessary thing, Mr. Speaker. So I want to say that if there is no fund, we are having a supplementary in the next 3 weeks, let them place the fund so that we can be able to advertise very well and people to get to know that we are waiving for the first time in Kericho County for the interest and the penalties, Mr. Speaker. I remember, Mr. Speaker, the last 2 weeks, there's somebody who was willing. He has a building around Mall Gipchimat Mall, Mr. Speaker. He was looking on where and when to pay. But when you reach the the revenue officers, Mr. Speaker, they are not having that rapport, good language to discuss. So this is the time they must negotiate and, of course, request them to pay their interest so that we move on as a county. Mr. Speaker, otherwise this report has come at the right time, and we say thank you for the chairman and the committee on finance for the good job done. Thank you. I support the report.
Right, thank you, the Honorable Eric B. And our honorable members now call the mover of the motion to reply. The Honorable Raman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the members who've contributed to the motion. Mr. Speaker, I'm happy now that we've tabled and perhaps passed this report. Mr. Speaker, immediately after this, I want to confirm to the members that we will have on the dailies, the leading daily newspapers. It will capture what we've done today on the waivers across the county. And number 2, we had also requested the governor and the executive to erect at least even 2 billboards. That will inform the public on the waivers, because I'm aware there are a number of business owners in this town who've been calling that when the waiver is tabled and approved, we will then start remitting land rates and plot rent that is due to the county. My role and the Committee on Finance and Economic Planning, and maybe the Committee on Lands and Fiscal Planning, that will be implementing what we will follow as part of our oversight role, what we've passed in this house today, because we expect in the next 3 months the land rates dues will have been remitted to the county government of Kericho, because we requested them to tie the land rates to single business permits for ease of collection of this particular revenue. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the members, I want to thank my committee, and I want to thank your office for the facilitation you've been giving us as a committee to do most of these reports. Going forward, Mr. Speaker, we will do our part to ensure that we succeed in this year of 2025. To this, Mr. Speaker, I want to appreciate and request the members that let us approve this report. Thank you so much.
Thank you, the Honorable Chairman, Finance and Economic Planning, for your reply. Honorable members, I now rise to put the question, which is that this House approves the report of Finance and Economic Planning Committee on the waiver of interest and penalties of the county land rates. Will as many as are of that similar opinion say aye? Will as many as are of that contrary opinion say nay? And the ayes have it. Honorable members, now that the report has been adopted by the House, and from the recommendation, the executive has been given 90 days to implement the waiver. I direct the Committee on Implementation to follow up on the matter and report back to the House, more so the implementation status after the expiry of 90 days for the House and for this County Assembly to note whether the waiver served its purpose. The Leader of Majority, you please note that together with the Chairman Implementation, that this House expects the report back to this House, more so on the performance of the economic planning, but more so the Implementation Committee to report to this House. We expect we'll give them, after 90 days, they have 21 days to report to this House. Please note that timeline, the Leader of Majority, together with the Deputy Speaker, so that you are informed and the members of the public are informed of what transpired. So, honorable members, there being no other order of business, this House stands adjourned until tomorrow, Wednesday, 12th February 2025 at 9:30 a.m. Thank you.